Hello and welcome once again to the Young Entrepreneur Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Angel, coming to you live on a beautiful Monday, March 7th, 2022. Happy Monday to all of y'all. I hope you're having a good start so far for the week. I am. I'm super excited. Excited again to be here. It's a blessing. Thank you all for joining. If you're watching this live right now, as usual, subscribe to the channel, share the content, give us a like, write down some comments or whatnot. Also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, go ahead and follow myself and the podcast and also my guests. We greatly appreciate it. So today, folks, we are going to have another exciting episode. Today's title, as you can see on the flyer, there is How to Get Your Book Monetized. So I'm going to have a special guest. She's an expert at what she does. She is also a coach. All right. Her name is Kimmy Johnson, and she has a extensive resume. I love it because she is a child of God, right? That's very important. She's a wife, mother to four, and of course, she is with her love of her life. And prior to what she's doing now, she was with Purpose Pals, where she was a publisher to Purpose for Purpose Driven Woman Magazine. So she knows what it's about publishing. She knows how to help you get your book monetized, how to get it, get that content out there. So she has a lot of experience, and she's going to be joining me today. So I hope you guys are able to benefit from this information. So with that being said, let's go ahead and bring her through. Miss Kimmy Johnson, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me this evening.
No, it's an honor and it's a privilege to have you, Coach Jimmy J, in the house. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to learn. I'm also going to be here to learn. I'm not an author. I don't have a book. Maybe someday. Actually, I've been, thinking that maybe sometime in the future, if God willing, that He put something in my heart that's gonna obviously glorify Him first of anything, and I'm able to give my testimony and talk about the greatness that He's done in my life. And maybe that'll be. But in the meantime, thank you for being here. How's everything? How's your family? How's your day going?
Everything is going good. My family is good. They're actually at home, probably getting on to watch in just a bit. And
Okay.
today, I mean, you know how Mondays are, right? We're catching up on everything. We're busy,
Yeah,
trying to make sure we start out our day. And so, overall, today was a good day, though. I can't complain.
that's right. That's awesome. Yeah, us entrepreneurs, we love Mondays because it's the first day of the week, and we're excited to get, new goals. Every week we have to have a new goal, a new day, a new way to get, fresh new ideas and whatnot. So Kimmy, before we get into, how to get our, someone's book monetized and talking about publishing and other stuff that you've done, let's go ahead and just for a purpose of the audience and everyone who maybe is watching this for the first time, maybe they've never seen you or heard you. I know you're on Facebook, Instagram. You do have your own website as well. I'm gonna have all the links available as we're talking. I'm gonna pass them through. But let's go ahead and talk about your beginnings, like right, like where you're born, your parents and whatnot. So go ahead and take us, give us that story to where maybe it's leading to what you were inspired to do today.
Yeah, I think it's so ironic, when I began to talk about my story, because early on, I never would have saw myself in the position that I am now. But I was born and raised from Tallahassee, Florida. My dad, Michael Lindsay, my mom, Ella Lindsay, she's actually passed on to heaven to be with the Lord or what have you. But yeah, they raised me or whatever. I have brothers, sisters, it's a whole gang of us.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went through school. I remember like being in high school or whatever, and sitting in the class and the teacher asking, what do you want to do when you graduate and things like that. And I was almost a little embarrassed to say, hey, I want to be a cosmetologist, because everybody else was saying, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer
Yeah.
or a dentist, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to do hair. I want to be in the beauty industry. And so when I graduated school, that's what I did. I pursued my braider's license first, and then I started doing cosmetology. And that is kind of like what birthed the desire to do a magazine in the first place. But
Okay.
it was going to be a hair magazine because I was a hairstylist. So that, it just made sense to do a hair magazine.
Yeah.
And, so I did that just a little bit, not much, just kind of played around with the idea. And then I moved to Orlando, started getting it off the ground, did a few interviews and things like that, did a couple of photo shoots, but I never really completely put it together. I was just playing around with the idea. One of the
Okay.
things that, I always like struggled with growing up is like being good enough. Am I good enough for this? Do I really have what it takes to do this? And so with that project, I struggled with that. And long story short, I got back to Tallahassee after having my son at a very, very low point in my life, and just was kind of ready to give up. And I heard the Holy Spirit tell me that he still wanted me to do a magazine, but he wanted me to call it Purpose Driven Women Magazine. And so,
Wow.
I'm like, oh, I'm tripping. I'm really reaching here. I'm at a low point. I'm just trying to come up with anything.
Ah, you see? That's when God, he uses it at your lowest point. He said, I'm gonna use you now. That is
Yes, at
amazing.
lowest point.
Amen.
Yeah. And so he made it really plain to me one day. I went on to do state government. I was a curriculum developer. And my pastor at that time walked in my office. He had no idea that I wanted to do a magazine. And he placed magazines on my desk that he had published. And he was like, I don't know why I'm being led to share this with you, but here you go. And so
Wow.
I look at that day as my purpose birthday because I felt like that was God's way of saying, no, I'm serious about what I told you I wanted you to do. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of like the start in me really taking it serious and getting into the publishing industry.
Oh, wow. So that was that the birth of pretty much like you're saying of that magazine, Purpose Driven Women
Yes,
Magazine?
that was the birth of Purpose Driven Woman Magazine. And I told God, I said, God, if this is really you, if this is something that you really want me to do, I need you to show me that I'm good enough. So I was very intentional and not about not going to anyone for help. And this is when I found out that the Holy Spirit will teach you and guide you if it's aligned with your purpose. Like you're already good enough. You already have what it takes. And
Yes.
so I sat at
Wow.
the computer and literally Holy Spirit was my teacher. He taught me how to design, how to put things together, how to just bring the whole magazine together. So that's one of the things I always like to tell people. All you
Yeah.
do is say yes, and
Mhm.
then the Holy Spirit and God will do the rest, really.
Yeah. So, and this is actually one of the lowest points in your life. So, how did you help? Did you were able to help other women that were going the same through similar that what you were going through?
Yes, interviewing women from all around the world. I spoke to people in Africa, in
Okay.
Europe, China, just all around. And what I found that everyone had a story and everyone had a struggle. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And so, but being able to connect with like-minded, purpose-driven women, there was a
Hmm.
sense of encouragement on the line in every interview. You know what I mean? A lot of times their story resonated with me and we would swap
Yeah.
stories at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I really needed to hear what they had to say and they really needed to hear my story. So it was amazing. It was really an amazing journey.
Okay. And what more or less what year was this? Like, is this
So Purpose Driven Women Magazine kicked off in 2015 and it was
okay?
discontinued in the middle of the pandemic in 2021. And so, that's a whole nother story in itself,
Yeah.
where God
Yeah.
started to shift and pivot me into where we are now, which is Purpose Pals Publishing.
Okay. Okay. Great. So so after the magazine and whatnot, so what came next for you? Like how did you arise, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, as I was on my journey, I didn't realize I was being prepared. I was doing on the job training for my purpose the whole while. I started out in state government. I mentioned that a little bit. I
Okay.
had an OPS position, and my job was to turn PowerPoints into Word documents into PowerPoints for our learning management system. And so that job turned into a full-time position where I was working with instructional designers, and we started building courses and training for the Juvenile Justice Center in the state of Florida. And so
Okay.
that was my training for curriculum development and teaching courses and things like that. And so as I transitioned from Purpose Driven Women magazine to now Purpose Pals Publishing, God had already gave me that on the job training, and just like pieces of a puzzle, it started kind of coming together like a magnet.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now I see, how this is helpful, and now I see how this is helpful because I already had the publishing experience from Purpose Driven Women magazine.
Okay, that's where you got your experience. Okay, from
Yes.
publishing. Okay, so you are also so like if someone contacts you right now, you can help them get their book published, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a few books here. I have my client Shante Moore. She just, well, maybe back in October, she published her book. So we'll take you through the entire process from beginning
Okay.
to end. Typically, you bring your content to us. We help you bring your content to life. But we also have access to ghostwriters, writing coaches, things of that nature. So we have something for you from the beginning of the process all the way out till it's time to monetize that book, and you don't have it
Yeah.
on the shelf. Yeah.
Okay. Now, some basic question. Like, let's say the first step, like I see there the book cover, like the art. Do you have like someone has an idea, but they can't bring it to life? You help them to bring that art as well.
Absolutely. Everything is about sitting down with your purpose pal and talking about your vision, right? What is it that you want? How do you see this cover? And then they get cover design options so that they can look at it and identify what they like, what they don't like until we get that perfect cover. But we take care of the cover design, we take care of book formatting, editing, all of that. Yes.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Now, I had a previous conversation with you before, and I had mentioned that some people, and I think there was a word for it, that they like co-author with other people, and they do like one chapter out of
Mhm.
15 or whatever chapters because they collaborate with other authors. Is that as well? Like, what is that? What's the point of that as well?
Well, for that, especially if you're doing something that you're sharing your story, the most powerful part about that is you get different perspectives, right?
Okay.
Each person that's contributing offers their personal story, and you come up with this book that's created, that's completed with all of these different stories of different people talking about their journey and their
Yeah.
experience and their perspective on that topic. So it's a very powerful collaboration. If you want to do something fast, you want to get a book out there quickly. It also helps with marketing. If you have 10 people that contribute to a project, then you have 10 people that's also helping to push that book, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody wants to share their part in that story. So there's several different benefits to that.
Okay, so when people go to your website, like the website I have or kimmyjcoach.com, why did you create, first of all, that website? What was the purpose behind that?
So KimmyJCoach.com is outside of Purpose Pals Publishing. So with Purpose Pals Publishing, we take you through the process from beginning to end. And then what I found out is after authors publish their book, they're like, what's next? And so I wanted to have an avenue to show them what they can do. So with me having that curriculum development background, knowing how to turn content into a training or a course, that is what birthed Kimmy J Coach. Because now that you have
Okay.
a book, I want to teach you how to recycle that content and then make courses so that you can monetize your book. Like you think about your book as taking, actually giving your reader knowledge, but then you also have an opportunity to take them from knowledge to application. And that's where that training or that workshop comes in at. And they also get
Okay.
a deeper, experience with you as that author.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Thank you for sharing that. And also, now let's go ahead and talk about how to get that book monetized. Because obviously, yeah, I mean, if someone writes a book, they have a great story to share, real life story, whatnot. From A to Z, whatever their life has been through. But you also want to get make financially. You want financially to become a number one bestseller. You wanted to have that success. So how does someone get it monetized with you?
The first thing is I tell my clients, look at your book as if it's a business, right? You don't want
Exactly.
to invest all of this money into getting your book published and not have a plan afterwards. And so one of the main things I do is talk to them about their vision. What's your purpose of writing this book? Are you
Mm,
writing this book as an introduction to your brand? Are you writing this book as a segue into a program that you have? What is your purpose? So once we get
okay.
clear on that, then we talk about, okay, you have, let's just say your book has 15 chapters. What was your objective? What were you trying to convey to that reader? And then from there, we build upon that by creating objectives, and we say, okay, so these are our objectives. How can we take them deeper? How can we take them from that knowledge to application using the content that you already have? But the difference is we add activities, we add discussions, we Q&As, things like that, so you can really
Okay.
engage with your clients. So there's many ways to monetize your book, but my sole focus is to teach that author how to turn their book into a workshop or an intensive training or seminar, e-learning class, something
Okay.
like that, that's going to take that reader from what they read to now shifting their life by applying what is taught in that book.
Okay. So you said like e-learning. Is that what you said? Like
E-learning, like
o-
virtual learning, all of the
okay.
trainings that I help my clients with are adaptable to face to face. And we're in a pandemic, we're in a world of corona, so you have to think about that. So,
Yeah.
how can you get this? And not only that, but also, reaching people that's outside of your area. And so you may want to have a face-to-face training, but you also may want to be able to do it virtually. And so we build that course in a way where it can go both ways.
Okay. And I think something that came up to my on my mind is like people do book signings, right? Like go you travel or within your area and you want to do book signings. Is that another way to get it monetized as well, or just that something just to get in touch with fans and people?
Well, it's definitely a way to get in touch with your fans, but it's also a way to monetize, right? Because you're
Okay.
showing up on the scene, they're getting to know more about you. Typically, at a book signing, people are purchasing the book and you're signing it. So, definitely, that's monetizing. And the way to look at it is thinking about as many ways as you can to create multiple streams of income from your book. So, you may
Yeah.
be speaker from this book. You may be a trainer. Again, like you mentioned, the book signings, virtual book lunches, book clubs. There's so many different things that you can do to monetize your book. Outside of the typical marketing, because of course you want to do that, but how can you put yourself in front of the brand of your book? And that's what I focus.
Okay. And also, is the Kindle like the when you download like an audio? Is that also something that for every download, like they could get monetized too for that?
Yes, depending on the platform that they use, Amazon has different
Amazon.
set
Yeah.
up, your book to you get all of the royalty fees and things like that. It just depends on the platform that they use. But absolutely, whenever you publish your book, you definitely want to have some cushion in there where it's, a little bit above what it's costing you to publish it so that you can get a return on that sale.
Exactly. That I was just bringing. I was just writing down that on my notes to because I was coming to my mind like financially and budget wise. Like, what would someone who has never done a book, expect to have to invest at first to get the book started and whatnot? Just a brief
Yeah,
idea.
so it's different ways if you want to kind of do it yourself. It's very minimum. You would pay for the editing is the biggest part and the book design because you think about it, the book cover is what's really going to draw people in. And then
Yeah.
you're like a professional, excuse me, unless you're like a professional writer, you definitely, and even if you are, I like to check the checker system, right? You want to have a set of eyes outside of your own to look at it. So at minimum, I always suggest that you at least get proofreading, editing, copy reading,
Yeah.
copywriting editing. You may not need developmental editing, but definitely copy and proofreading, just so you can have a set of eyes on that. And so that can go anywhere from $6 a page, $8 a page, $12 a page. It just depends on, the publisher that you select as well as that editor. And then if you go
Mm,
with a publishing company, it can be from something as minimum as $1,200 all the way up to $5,000, depending on the level that
wow.
you want, the marketing, the package.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things for my company is because we're your purpose pal, we offer coaching. So we're not just handing the book to us and we're just publishing your book. We're with you every step of the way. And every package has a different level of coaching. So that way you can customize what fits better in your budget.
Okay. I'm sorry. Did you say now? Do you handle the editing, or is that editing a separate
No,
company?
I have an editor that will
Okay.
edit the book as well. So we are an all inclusive publishing company. So when you come to
Okay.
us, we take care of your book cover, book formatting, editing, publishing, and we can even set up marketing for you as well.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Because then, like you said, you start from beginning to end. When we talk about from beginning, we're talking about everything, editing, everything. The person just has to know how many chapters, what's the name of the book, and maybe they have the art design of the book or a title, and then go from there. But yeah, that's a very important is the title. Like when you work with someone, what is the one thing that you see that people struggle with the most to get started?
Developing their story, right? And so
Okay.
as a writer, as an author, you have the idea of what you're wanting to put out there, but sometimes you may not be conveying it as clearly as you think you are, which
Yeah.
is why, the coaching and the development editing is so important, because we can talk one-on-one and say, hey, what were you trying to convey when you said this, or what did you really want the reader to experience in this chapter? So that way we really drive home their objectives. There's some back and forth conversation. Of course, the author's
Okay.
voice is never lost, but we go back and forth to help them really bring out exactly what they're trying to say. I'm sure you've done it before, preparing for a podcast, and you're writing
Yeah.
out bio and you're reading words that aren't there because they're in your mind. That's one of the things that we see with authors.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, because and like you say, going, the back and forth, because of course, the writer's block, some people just they get stuck and say, okay, what should I put here? But you could also with that coaching session, like you said, I'm understanding that if there's something that says, you know what, maybe you could give us as a coach, you could say, hey, look, this part of the chapter or this chapter that you wrote, I will put it either at the beginning or put it somewhere else. Is that also
Right.
part of the coaching? Okay.
Right, exactly. It's like, based on what you're trying to convey here, maybe we need to change this or move this piece to here, so it's a lot of restructuring, organizing, but not in a sense of where that author loses their voice. This is their project. We're
Okay.
here to help them bring their content to life. We're not trying to recreate. And I think that's really important for authors to feel comfortable with their work.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I mean, you're like the director in a movie. You're having the actor make sure that the actor looks good, but you're still
Right,
directing them and telling them, look, this should let's cut this scene and let's put the scene over here. It will look
right.
better. That makes perfect sense. I mean, and your coaching session, like, is that all again all included with the whole consultation and getting started with you? Okay.
Yes, all included. That's what I think sets us apart, because again, we don't want to just publish the book. We really are interested in that author's vision. What is the purpose behind what you're doing? What are you trying to do? Why are you writing this book? And we want to help them meet the goals, not only their publishing goals, but the goals that they have after.
Okay. Now with this pandemic and what we've been through in a couple years, have you seen growing any growth in as far as like authors coming out, with new material and whatnot? And
I really think the pandemic helped with this type of business, because people were, indoors. They had
yeah,
a lot of time to write, especially if you were already a writer and a person that loved to journal.
hmm,
Your creative juices just flowed because there was really nothing else to do. And then what
right.
love about Purpose Pals is it's virtually based. So we're not, constrained to just the people in our area, which is Tallahassee. We're able to reach out and connect with people in Orlando, in Atlanta, different places like that, because we do
Okay.
everything virtually. And so there's been a real an influx in people saying, hey, I've been working on this book for a while. Now I'm ready to bring it together and publish it.
Ah, that's awesome, man. That's a blessing. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're able to help, other people get that started, because that's something that, I think a lot of us should at least have maybe one book. We all have a story to tell, one way or another, whether you have had the best life or the lowest life, but I think we all have a story. So for Kimmy Johnson, what's in store for next for Kimmy Johnson? Like what are your plans in the next coming years? Like, are you want to have another? Do you have a book, by the way?
I was just about to say that now being in these shoes, I actually have books that I'm ready to dust off, in my closet,
Ah,
into the forefront, get published. I have a book series that I want to release. So I'm definitely working on that. I look forward to that being released the beginning of January. And I'm
yes.
also working on a book club, like a book fair for authors, book club,
Okay.
book fair. So authors can come in and publicize their book, have their vending tables and tell people about their story and things like that.
Yeah.
Really, really looking forward to that.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. Send me the information once you have everything. Send me an email, and I'll be glad to share it on my social media accounts and help you out. Get that word spread out there.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, Kimmy. Well, you know what? You've brought everything to the table. I believe that how to get that book monetized. Like you said, you get everything. You coach. You take everyone through that process. It's a long process. I believe that's if someone wants to use your services and whatnot. I think the most important thing is to be patient.
The
Be
be patient.
patient.
We try to take it through a 12-week process for those that already have their book ready. This is a manuscript that's
Okay.
already written. There's some developmental editing there, but you already have your manuscript, right? And so we have this process where we can have your book published, designed, formatted, and everything in 12 weeks. It does require
Mm,
patience. It does rely heavily on that author and their determination, because there's work to be done in
of
between
course.
sessions to make sure we're pushing out this project that they are looking to have. But we can definitely get it done in 12 weeks. And you're right, patience is key.
It's a virtue.
Yes, it definitely.
Absolutely. But you know what? 12 weeks is not that bad. I thought you were gonna say longer, but 12 weeks, that's nah,
Yeah,
that
they
sounds that's
already have their
reasonable.
manuscript. I just want to stress that if you have your manuscript, right?
Oh, okay, okay,
You
okay.
need to have your manuscript, but if you're coming in and you're working with a ghostwriter or a writing coach to develop your story, then of course that's going to be longer. But if you have the book already written and you're ready to go, we're ready to go right along with you.
Okay, all right, 12 weeks. That make more sense. Yeah, because someone that says I don't even have the title yet, or maybe have an idea, but they haven't. No, that's okay. That makes sense. Have at least the manual. Okay, have that ready. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So, Kimmy, thank you so much. I think it has been perfect. Everything that you brought to the podcast and to the audience, I know that is going to be well. The information is perfect. So thank you so much for being here. Definitely looking forward to your projects in the future. So please tag me. Tag me. Don't be afraid. Send me an email. Say, hey, Angel, memory for the podcast. Here's the information. What I said. What I promised. I made it come true. So thank you, Kimmy. I appreciate it.
Definitely, Angel. We're friends now, so I'm going to be tagging for this. Before I logged off, I did want to share the latest issue of Purpose Pals Magazine. This magazine was created for authors and writers. And so, if you are in that space where you want to write a book, you want to publish a book, this is where you go for all of your writing and publishing tips. And you can find this at our website at PurposePalsLLC.com.
.com, which is right there. Perfect. And they could get that and order it directly to the home.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Kimmy. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna have all your information. I know you're on Facebook, Instagram. I'm gonna have all your links on the description below on the YouTube channel. So I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Okay, take care. God bless you and your family. Take care, okay?
Same to you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. All right, folks. So once again, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on my Instagram account there, Angel Santos Podcast, and under Twitter under Angel Santos 75. Shortly after I conclude this live stream, you're gonna see all the notifications. I'm gonna tag her, and I'm gonna have all the links to the audio download, which you see there: Anchor, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those. Anywhere you could get your podcast is where you could get access to this audio download. Okay. So, guys, with that being said, I hope this information was useful for anyone who wants to get their book published. Like you heard there, like Kimmy was very specific. She said, within 12 weeks, as long as you have the basic stuff, they could take you from beginning to end. Okay. They can help you with the whole procedure. So it's not easy, but be patient and they'll work with you and get you on the right track and on the right path to getting your book monetized. So look her up, Kimmy Johnson, and also under KimmyCoach.com, KimmyJCoach.com. I'm going to have all the links down there shortly after we conclude this live. So, guys, I just want to leave you with our scripture from today, and it's in Psalm 139, 23, 24, and it says, "Examine me, O God, and know my mind. Test me and discover my thoughts. Find out if there is any evil in me and guide me in the everlasting way." All right, guys. So thank you for joining this podcast. I will see you on the next episode of the Young Entrepreneur Mindset Podcast. Thank you. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel and share this content. Thank you and have a blessed day. Take care.